My name's Neil Basu. I'm a Queen's Police Medal holder because I served 30 years in the Metropolitan Police Service, and I finished my career as the Assistant Commissioner, Specialist Operations, which was the National Head of Counter-Terrorism Policing. And I did that. I'm the only police officer. I was the first Asian to hold that job, and I'm the only police officer ever to have held the three most senior roles in counter-terrorism consecutively through what was the busiest period of terrorism in the UK's history since the height of the Troubles in the IRA, so for around 40 years. And I didn't say that, the head of MI5 said that. So, and I made my career as a career detective. I worked on anti-corruption, homicide, gangs and organised crime, and then latterly in my career in counter-terrorism. So I like to call myself a career detective. And my very final job is I went to the College of Policing as a non-executive director on the College of Policing board. I was their strategic advisor on leadership and international development, and I led the 2021 Strategic Command course for 51 very senior public sector leaders to teach them a little bit about leadership, Jonathan, and I hope I did my job. And then I retired, and now I wrote the book in order to exercise some of the demons you've let me talk about on this, but largely, as I described at the start, to prove to policing that I love it, and that it can be better. And if it understands the need to be inclusive and to understand that, it polices for everyone, not just the people it likes. And if it wants the trust and confidence of every community for the intelligence it needs, for the witnesses it needs to do its day job, there is very much a business case for understanding diversity, equality, and inclusion, not just a moral case. I've got rather tired in my late 50s of trying to teach people the morality of treating everyone as a human being. So I would say there is a business case for being a more effective policing service if you get it. And lastly, that people will understand a little bit about what we are like as human beings, not just as uniform or detectives with a badge. The authoritarian nature of what we do makes it sometimes difficult for people to understand that we are just like them. And Peel was absolutely right. The police are the public and the public are the police. We may not have always got that right, but at the end, we are just normal members of the public doing extraordinary things on your behalf. And we should thank the people who are still out there every day doing it.
Well, thank you. And your top tip around speaking the truth to power. Do you want to just say a bit about why that's a top tip?
Yeah. Well, it's you did let me think about this to start with, and it was on that course I taught at the College of Policing. The day that caused the most anxiety is the day where we talk about truth to power. Your ability to turn round to somebody in a position of authority who is making either a fundamental mistake or something that crosses one of your red lines as a human being, your values, and tell them the truth. You have got to be able to do that if you want to lead. The idea that it created anxiety in a room full of senior leaders depressed me slightly. I mean, how did you get here? And of course, my great shame is my fit in or F off line. You sometimes have to absorb the culture around you to get to a place where you can make authoritative decisions. But if someone is telling you to do something that crosses a red line that is illegal or unethical, then it should be very easy for you to say, I'm not doing that. Just following orders is a Nuremberg principle. We had an entire regime in the 30s, the most destructive in human history, where people just followed orders. Don't follow orders. If you want to be a leader, you set the tone, you set the orders, you don't just follow them. If you can't do that, then really the honourable thing to do is to leave. And, you need to learn that lesson early on in your career and make sure that you understand what your values are, because eventually they will be tested by somebody above you.
Well, Neil, that's really well said, and a great bit of wisdom about speaking truth to power. And thank you for your 30 years service, and thank you for continuing to make a real difference, the support you're giving to the Inspiring Leadership Foundation and the victims of violence against women and girls, which I think is close to your heart as it is to Lee and myself. Good luck with your new podcast, The Crime Agents, and thanks again for being on the podcast.
Well, thank you.